All right, it's the top of the hour. Let's go ahead and get started. Good morning. Thank you for joining us for our fourth Tuesday legal marketing update. If you are joining us for the very first time, welcome. And if you're joining us again, welcome back. We're happy to have you here. Just as a quick matter of housekeeping before we get started, this webinar is being recorded and it should be available for replay later this week on the LawLytics website. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Victoria Blute, and I'm the community manager here at LawLytics. And my job is to keep attorneys up to date on web technologies and trends, and to help you learn what works on the web to attract potential clients to your firm. And if you read our blog often, or you've attended a few of our webinars, you might recognize me. Now, normally our Fourth Tuesday webinars are a roundtable discussion about legal marketing. And normally our CEO, Attorney Dan Jaffe, joins us. He is away from the office today, so I'm going to be filling in for him. Before we get started, I want to briefly review who we are here at LawLytics, what we do, and why it matters for those of you who are joining us for the very first time. You have many choices of companies and technologies to design, build, host, and help you market your law firm's website. And at LawLytics, we do all of that, and we have a lot of competition. So what is LawLytics? How are we different? LawLytics is obsessed with the pursuit of the most efficient method of marketing for each law firm. And as we see it, there are two major variables of efficiency. There's time and there's money. And our system was created to empower law firms to have unlimited marketing success without wasting time and without wasting money. And we really have two different types of competitors. On the one side, we have full-service marketing companies, and LawLytics is built to give attorneys all of the upsides of using a full-service company, but without exposing you to the potential risks and downsides. And on the other side are do-it-yourself website software programs, and these are usually cheap or free to use. But these programs often come with steep opportunity costs. Attorneys will often struggle to make them work, and as they struggle, they waste time and they miss opportunities along the way. So both full-service companies and do-it-yourself platforms are viable options, but LawLytics offers what we see as a more practical solution for lawyers. We work exclusively with attorneys, and our services are adaptable to every stage of a law firm's growth. And what that means is that our members can start as small as they choose and then grow as big as they decide. And that's without taking risks or committing to things that might not work. And our software is built exclusively for you, the attorney. So the learning curve is really easy. It's about as easy to use as a word processor. And that enables our members to add to and edit their websites and turn their efforts into new business effectively without struggling. So today we have a couple topics to discuss, but before we get into that discussion, I want to briefly mention a change in our program format, which I'll explain in just a moment. After that, we are going to talk about something that attorneys may sometimes overlook if they've decided to hire a law firm SEO provider. And broadly, that's asking the right questions to ensure that they're hiring somebody who's going to benefit their firm's web presence. But specifically today, we're going to talk about the importance of hiring a law firm SEO provider who understands and abides by both legal ethics as well as Google's webmaster guidelines. And we'll talk about what can happen when attorneys sometimes don't ask the right questions. Then we'll talk a little bit about strategies for growing your law firm's web presence. Many attorneys want to build a strong web presence that generates business for their firms, but sometimes attorneys aren't sure which strategies they should employ to build a successful web presence without wasting time or money. So once attorneys have set up a new website, they sort of might ask themselves, where do I go from here? So we'll give you a little bit of guidance for strategies that are both effective and efficient. So as I mentioned earlier, we have a program format announcement, and that starts by saying that this will be our last Fourth Tuesday webinar for the foreseeable future. And the reason for that is that we are about to move to podcast format. We have had requests from so many of you who enjoy listening to these webinars, but who also want to be able to access this information on the go when you're traveling or driving to court, whatever the case may be. And we want to let you know that we've heard you. We really strive to not only provide you with the best and the most useful information as it relates to your online marketing, but we also want to provide you the information in the format that works for you and works for your busy schedule. So we'll now be offering our LawLytics Law Firm Marketing Decoded series, and we're really excited about the content there, and we hope that you will be too. There are going to be a variety of participants in these podcasts. That includes myself, LawLytics CEO and attorney Dan Jaffe, our senior legal marketing expert, attorney Larry Bodine, and various leaders from within LawLytics, as well as various subject matter experts on legal marketing and practice building from other companies as well. So the first podcast should be up and available online by the end of next month. We plan to present our first episode on the fourth Tuesday of July. That's the 25th, I believe, and we'll keep you posted as that process moves along. Okay, let's get started with the substance of today's program. Today we're going to discuss a topic that is sometimes overlooked by attorneys, and that is the intersection of online legal marketing and the legal ethics that you as an attorney must abide by. It is vital that you know whether your SEO provider, if you choose to hire one, has a legal background. Do they understand legal ethics? When law firms hire a non-attorney who doesn't understand legal ethics to handle some or all of their law firm's web presence, what it can cause is some major headaches for law firms along the line. So the question that really needs to be asked is this: what is the legal background of those who create, edit, or optimize my law firm website's content? Because regardless of who creates or edits or optimizes your site's content, at the end of the day, you are still ethically responsible for what gets published on your law firm's website and blog. And keep in mind that a SEO provider without a legal background may not know which words can or can't be used. They may not realize that, for example, using a synonym for a particular word may change its legal meaning, and that can really cause problems for you as an attorney. So before you hire somebody, find out whether they understand legal ethics. Another thing to keep an eye on is this: does the SEO company claim to, quote unquote, specialize in working with attorneys? The vast majority of SEO companies are not aware of the dangers of online legal marketing. And even if the SEO company claims that they specialize in working with lawyers, ask about their legal backgrounds and really discern whether they understand legal ethics or not. Because at first, this company may seem to specialize in working with attorneys, but oftentimes attorneys who dig under the surface a little bit may find that the provider or ultimately their parent company also specializes in working with doctors, veterinarians, plumbers, garage door companies, and so on and so forth. Attorney Rachel Shalott, who is our Vice President of Content Operations, had previously described some of what she'd seen when it comes to SEO companies. She had noted that we've seen some firms working with SEO companies with results that range from minimal to downright disastrous, and that's sincerely without hyperbole. SEO companies are everywhere. They seem to love nothing more than inundating attorneys with these terrifying reports about how the firm's website isn't performing well or that there's something wrong with it. But it's important to be aware of the fact that there is no regulatory body that governs SEO companies. As an attorney, you took the MPRE, your character and your fitness were examined. SEO providers did not. So when you speak with someone who claims to be a law firm SEO expert, it's helpful to understand how their various business models operate. To learn more about that, I recommend we have a blog post called Law Firm SEO Myths and Realities over at our website, and that gets into a lot of the detail there. But in terms of what can happen when a law firm SEO provider doesn't understand legal ethics, we've seen law firms get hurt by SEO companies, and sometimes that's repeatedly. And this can leave attorneys frustrated and confused about what actually works in online legal marketing. And it can cause them to spend more time and more money on strategies that don't work. Now, as Rachel said, some of the harm that is caused by these providers is relatively minor. A SEO provider, as an example here, might use keyword stuffing in the law firm website's content. And sometimes the result is that the website gets relegated in Google search results. As a result of that, it can then take months and months of adding valuable educational content for the site to recover. But we've seen damage that's far more serious than that, especially when the SEO company doesn't understand the ethical rules that attorneys must abide by. So, for example, we've seen SEO companies who will write law firm website content that violates the professional rules. They might call a firm an expert in a particular type of law or label an attorney as the best in violation of their state's rules. We also recently discovered a SEO company that was engaging in a practice that could be an ethical violation in your state. So I'm going to show you a picture. Here's a modified version of an actual screenshot that we took. And the image that you see here is something that an SEO company did. They actually created fake attorney blogs using Shutterstock images to promote a law firm's website content. And as Rachel explained, the state that this firm practices in specifically prohibits any advertising with individuals purporting to be attorneys who haven't been admitted to the state's bar. So if you're not in control or you're not aware of what these companies are doing on your behalf, you could theoretically be putting your license at risk. Okay, so we've discussed the importance of choosing a SEO provider who understands and abides by legal ethics. If you decide to hire somebody to handle your law firm's SEO, it's also important that you choose a company or an individual that follows Google's webmaster guidelines. These guidelines are an essential part of successful online marketing, and that's regardless of, again, who is writing, editing, or optimizing your web content. Failing to follow these guidelines can keep your law firm website and your business from thriving. Now, it should be noted that an attorney could violate Google's guidelines on their own if they don't understand Google's guidelines. But what this discussion is going to focus on is what can happen when attorneys hire a SEO provider who doesn't understand or follow Google's rules. The importance of learning what Google expects from webmasters really cannot be overstated. It can keep you or anyone you hire from making mistakes that damage your firm's web presence. So the big question that attorneys should be asking is this: does the law firm SEO provider follow Google's webmaster guidelines? Inclusion in Google search results is, as I've heard it put, a privilege and not a right. Google is the most widely used search engine on the web. It performs billions of searches a day, and many potential clients will find their attorney by using search engines, particularly Google. And that means it's important to stay on the right side of the company's guidelines. So before you hire a SEO provider, ask them whether they follow Google's webmaster guidelines. And the answer to this question should be yes, without exception. If they answer that they mostly do, or they sometimes do, or they never do in terms of following these guidelines, or that they don't know what Google's webmaster guidelines are, this is really a red flag. If they tell you that they have their own guidelines and that they follow them exclusively or in some combination with Google's guidelines, again, this is a cause for concern. What can happen when a law firm SEO provider doesn't follow Google's webmaster guidelines? If you hire a SEO provider who doesn't follow those guidelines, you're really putting your law firm's website at risk, because when they don't follow those guidelines, there's a good chance that the work that they do to your website may violate Google's guidelines at some point. So here are some quick examples of what that could look like. For example, a SEO provider might do something to your law firm website with the intent to trick Google into ranking it higher in search results. So for example, they might engage in keyword stuffing or cloaking or link schemes or scraping content from other sites. In other cases, the SEO company or the individual that you've hired might do something to your law firm website without realizing that it violates the guidelines. So for example, this SEO provider, maybe they've created a lot of pages for your law firm website that have thin content. Thin content violates Google's guidelines because it doesn't provide any value to web users. But here's the problem. Google doesn't make a distinction as to whether you caused that problem or somebody you hired did. And it doesn't matter if the action was intentional or accidental. Really, a violation of Google's guidelines is just that, and violating those guidelines can mean that your law firm's online visibility might be suffering. And if Google relegates your site in search results, your business can suffer as a result. Now, another question that we sometimes hear from attorneys is this: if my provider If my SEO provider violates Google's guidelines, can my law firm website recover? And the answer to this question is sometimes. In some cases, it can take months for a law firm website to recover and return to a good standing with Google. But during that time, you may end up missing new business opportunities and waste time and money trying to correct the problem. Sometimes we've actually seen attorneys who have hired several SEO providers in a row, and each one may claim that they can fix the problems that the last one created. And attorneys will often spend thousands and thousands of dollars with these companies. And what they often find is that the money that they've spent hasn't fixed the problem at all, and sometimes new problems have been created along the way. So providing the most useful and relevant results to search engine users is the entire basis of Google's business model. And to do that effectively, it has to prevent untrustworthy websites from ranking well. So if your law firm's website, through a series of unfortunate webmaster or SEO choices, has been a repeat offender when it comes to Google, it can be extremely difficult to recover. And at that point, it may be smarter to start from square one. And we have some resources that go into that, both in webinar form and in blog form over on our website, if you're interested in learning a little bit more about that. Another question that we get is, can attorneys avoid SEO providers who don't follow Google's guidelines? As the saying goes, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And yes, there are some simple things that you can do to protect your website and ensure that if you hire a SEO provider, they're doing work that actually benefits your law firm. The first thing that we always recommend to attorneys is to learn about Google's webmaster guidelines. When attorneys take the time to do this, they often see two things. The first is that law firm SEO is not complicated once you understand the basics. And the second is that making mistakes that can get you into trouble with Google are usually preventable. So learning the rules not only prevents you from making these errors yourself, but it can also protect you from hiring somebody who doesn't understand or doesn't abide by these guidelines. Ask the right questions. So asking the right questions up front can save you a lot of headaches later. And we recommend checking out, we have a comprehensive law firm SEO guide to see more questions to ask an SEO provider before you hire them. The other thing that attorneys should think about is, don't let fear or confusion guide your decision making when it comes to your online marketing. Attorneys hire SEO companies for lots of different reasons. They might worry about the state of their marketing. They might believe that they need a quote unquote SEO expert to help them. Maybe the attorney gets a cold call or a SEO report that claims that there's something wrong with their website. Or they might just feel like they're too busy to learn about internet best practices. And let me say first, there are certainly reputable SEO companies out there, but in many cases, attorneys who are fearful about their lack of marketing success or they're unsure about what works will decide to hire an SEO provider, and many times they hire the wrong one. And what this leaves attorneys doing is spending lots of money with SEO companies or individuals that they've hired that don't produce results, or worse, that damage the firm's presence. And the truth is that attorneys can do their own SEO successfully, even while practicing full-time, so long as they have the right tools and the right training and the right support. So the bottom line is, we believe attorneys should take the time to educate themselves about how Google works and what search engine optimization really is. Now, to help you achieve this goal, we have a giant library of free on-demand legal marketing webinars and blog posts that cover what attorneys need to know to build a strong foundation for their online marketing. Google recommends that before beginning your search for an SEO, it is a great idea to become an educated consumer. That is their quote. We could not agree more with that. So to learn more about Google, check out their webmaster guidelines, and they also have a How Google Search Works page as well. Aside from Google's resources, I just want to quickly point out two webinars that we recently published that deal not only with what attorneys should know about law firm SEO, but they also bring up a lot of the questions that you should be asking a provider before you sign on the dotted line. So in these two webinars, we really demystify SEO for lawyers. In the first part, we give you a comprehensive overview of SEO that will show you how your potential clients are using the internet to find you. And we also debunk a lot of the myths that surround law firm SEO that often get attorneys into trouble. And we'll also show you what to look out for in SEO providers so that you can stay immune to empty sales talk or traps or tricks that can have a negative effect on your law firm's web presence. In the second part of this series, we answer a lot of your frequently asked questions about law firm SEO to help you understand how search engines work. So we'll explain how to do SEO that attracts qualified potential clients and referral sources without wasting your time or exposing you to risks that can harm your web presence. So if you're interested in learning more about that, these are the 2 webinars that I would recommend to you, and you can find them over on our webinars page. Okay, let's talk about strategies for growing your web presence. Many attorneys, as I said earlier, want to build a strong web presence that generates business for their firms, but sometimes they're not sure which strategies they should employ to do that well and to do it without wasting time or money. So once you have your new website set up, you might be asking, where do I go from here? Now, each firm is different. There's not a one-size-fits-all strategy when it comes to content marketing for law firms, but in general, the majority of small law firms and solo practitioners can benefit their firms by allocating their efforts in the ways that I'm about to describe. The first thing that you should try to do as you're growing your web presence is to build up the substantive content on your law firm's website. Website content can sometimes be an unnecessary stumbling block for attorneys when they're about to launch their site. Some may worry that they don't have enough content yet, and that can keep them from launching their sites and executing their content marketing strategy efficiently. So at the time of launch, you should have basic structural content on your site. What we recommend for basic structural content, that includes your homepage, your attorney bio or bios if you have more than one attorney at your firm, an about the firm page, and some substantive practice area pages. For more information about those pages, we've just recently written some blog posts about that, so you can go check that out. But once you have launched your site, then you can begin adding to the resources on your substantive pages. To grow your site effectively, consider what your desired site size will be, and from there you can continuously add practice area pages to achieve that goal. Now, if the question is, what should my desired site size be? That's going to depend on several factors. It can depend on things like your geographic area, your practice area or areas, and also what your competitors are doing. So as an example here, a dominant criminal defense firm in a large city like New York or Los Angeles, that site might have anywhere between 900 and 1,000 pages. Now, a dominant family law firm in a smaller market, somewhere like Des Moines, Iowa, that might only need between 50 and 100 pages to achieve a similar dominating presence. Our content department has been conducting research where we examine different practice areas in different geographic areas. And what we've seen consistently are that the highest performing websites have a very high volume of pages. Now, in terms of your substantive pages, add them carefully. And here's what I mean by this. As you're adding pages to your site, be sure that each page is providing sufficient value for web visitors. For example, if you are a business attorney, you might decide to add a page about LLC formation. But visitors are going to be disappointed and are going to exit your site if all that page says is something like, choose the right structure for your business. We have years of experience assisting clients with corporate formation. You are simply going to lose any visitor who is looking for meaningful information about LLC formation. So adding pages for the sake of adding pages is unlikely to help you improve your site's visibility or your ability to connect with potential clients. There are law firm websites with thousands of pages that rank very well with search engines, but the key difference is that each of those pages provides useful content for potential clients and referral sources, and that quality content has been built up over time. Building quality substantive pages over time is really the best way to achieve your desired site size. And the best way to consistently work toward that goal is to develop a content plan for your law firm that keeps you or any other writers you have accountable. Everyone knows what they're writing, when they're writing it, and it really helps you to do that consistently over time. The next thing to think about is developing your law firm blogging strategy. Consistent blogging benefits law firms, but you may not want to make blogging a primary focus of your law firm's content marketing activities until you've added a substantial number of pages to your site. So, as an example, while you are at less than, say, 20% of your desired site size, you might want to focus on blogging once a week. But once you've reached that 20% threshold, you might focus on blogging more frequently and engaging in more sophisticated blogging techniques. It's important to note, as I said earlier, there's not a one-size-fits-all approach for growth, and in some cases, a focus on blogging in the growth phase of your firm may actually be warranted. So, as an example, an immigration firm in the growth phase right now might really want to focus on blogging at this time. There have been a number of developments in immigration policies at all levels of the government, and there's a good chance that potential clients for immigration firms are looking for information about these developments and changes and what they can expect as a result. The next thing to talk about is sharing your law firm website content. So, publishing new content is valuable for your firm, but after you publish each post, you can extend its reach by sharing it in relevant places, such as on social media. And you can learn more about how to use social media to your firm's advantage over at our website. We have a lot of resources for that. But I should note here as well that social media is really a supplementary aspect of your law firm's marketing. It should not be a time-consuming project for you, and it should be used to share your law firm's website content, to drive visitors back to your site. The content on your site is really the thing that's going to move the needle for your firm. The last thing to think about is your presence outside of your law firm's website. Managing your law firm's reputation should not consume your efforts as you begin your law firm's web presence. But as your firm is growing, it's a good idea to reach out to satisfied clients and to seek reviews. And that's not only for your website. Reviews on your website are great, but as well for third-party sites, places like Avvo, Google My Business, and Yelp. To see how a potential client might view you or your firm, it can really be useful to Google your name and Google your firm's name from time to time and see what comes up in search engine results. To learn a little bit more about reputation management for your law firm and tools that you can use that really simplify the process of getting and displaying positive reviews from happy clients, we have a webinar on reputation management for law firms that you can check out. As well, I want to briefly mention our Start, Grow, Dominate series. We recently developed and presented this series for attorneys, and that goes into depth about growing your web presence the right way, and that's for 8 different practice areas. So I just want to briefly go over that for those who are interested in case you missed these. These webinars provide attorneys with a wealth of information and a comprehensive look at online legal marketing to build a sound and sustainable law firm web presence. And we really looked at the issues that attorneys face in online legal marketing from a variety of different angles. We looked at how potential clients are using the internet to find attorneys, the kinds of searches that they're conducting on search engines, a lot of the myths that surround online legal marketing and that often keep attorneys paying for expensive services that they don't need. We talked about online marketing from a design perspective and how design can affect the perceptions of your potential clients. And we also talked about things like metrics that actually matter and that are measurable and that can help your firm really get ahead in their marketing rather than sitting around and wondering whether something is working or not. And one thing that we also talked about in depth during this series is what to write on your website and how you might want to consider doing that for your particular practice area. And that includes both the substantive pages on your law firm website, as well as approaches to take for your blogging strategy too. So in the Start series, we talked about starting a website using safe and effective methods that will build a predictable flow of new cases at a sustainable ROI. In the Grow series, we talk about consistently attracting high-quality clients and referral sources and how to start positioning yourself as a market leader. And finally, in the Dominate series, we talk about how to really get to the top of the mountain and stay there without wasting time or money, and also without having to watch your back. Because each of these webinars build upon the last one in the series, we recommend that you do watch them in order, but they are very comprehensive. So if you have questions about your marketing strategy for your particular practice area, go to our webinars page and check these out. With that, I want to thank you so much for joining us today in our last Fourth Tuesday webinar. And I want to remind you that we have a lot of free resources available to you over at the LawLytics website. As I said earlier, both in webinar form as well as blog posts. And those are free for you to access if you want to learn more about how to succeed online and how your potential clients are using the internet to find you. I know we also talked a lot about content today. If you're thinking about adding content to your site, I want to remind you that we have several levels of content creation. We offer content packages that range from basic startup content for brand new law firm websites, as well as comprehensive educational and marketing content for mass torts, personal injury, medical malpractice, criminal and DUI defense, business law, immigration law, bankruptcy law, and a range of other legal subjects. And our content team plans and executes content strategies for law firms that range from 5,000 words to these multi-million word build-outs for attorneys who really want to build a dominant website for a certain practice area or a certain geographic area. So if you are ready to take your online marketing to the next level, or you're ready to start thinking about things like content creation, or you just have questions about online legal marketing, we are here to help and we're happy to talk with you. So feel free to contact us through any of the methods that you see here. You can submit a consultation request from our main website at www.lawlytics.com. You can always call us at 800-713-0161, or you can shoot us an email at info@lawlytics.com. And with that, I'm going to end the recording of this webinar. I want to thank you all so much for joining us. Have a great day.